This is Live.Laugh.Launch,
your go-to podcast for product marketing and go-to-market strategy.
I'm Veronica.
And I'm Katie. Let's get into it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Live.Laugh.Launch. Today, we have AJ Williams with us. Hi, AJ. AJ is a full-stack marketing leader with a fast-moving career across B2B tech. She's touched nearly every part of the function: demand gen, brand, content, events, customer marketing, comms, and product marketing. Oh my gosh. And has a track record of building high-performing teams and launching programs from the ground up. A change agent at heart, AJ thrives on driving transformation across teams, products, and companies. Today, she leads marketing at Gridline, a fintech platform reshaping how private markets tell their story. With deep roots in customer marketing, AJ brings a voice that's grounded in real user needs, and we're excited to explore how that perspective connects with product marketing in today's conversation. So yay, AJ, we're happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's always good to connect with you, AJ. I mean, we worked together for quite some time, and I just saw you blossom into so many things and just taking ownership. So I always admired that. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you. So all the things that Katie mentioned and then some, but you built the customer marketing function from scratch when we were all at SugarCRM. And so how did you identify the highest impact areas to focus on first? And how did you prioritize as the function matured?
Ooh, getting right into it. So what's interesting is I was there for 6 years, and it was a very formative part of my career. So I came in, as I would say, more junior, early in my career. And so I was kind of just in execution mode at that point of we came into a new organization through acquisition, by the way. And so we were sort of just wondering for 3 months where we were going to go.
Wow.
During that transition period. And they basically gave me customer marketing and said, go build this because it didn't exist. So first of all, I'm having to go back into the archives of my memory. But I think the biggest thing was, which is not good, by the way, that's not an easy thing to do.
Mine either.
I
Yeah.
don't remember
Terrible brain fog. Terrible brain fog.
I remember yesterday. So the biggest thing was we were coming in and we had just gone through a massive brand refresh. So no longer were we an open source CRM. We were now offering a customer service solution and a marketing solution. And couple that with this new era of brand where we were kind of the new sugar at the time. We essentially had new revenue streams for the install base that didn't exist prior and a new identity as a business. And so a large part of it was just immediately get in front of customers and educate them on the new business and educate them on the new offerings. So a lot of it was communications, events, and content. We got on the road. The pandemic hit very shortly after. And then my boss left. And so I was just kind of given to customer marketing to run. And so over the years, I think it evolved quite a bit. It matured a bit. I built a team around it. I think in terms of prioritization for customer marketing, the biggest thing is always just how is it going to ladder up to the larger go-to-market strategy? Because you don't want it to be this just ununified thing. So it was pretty robust and well-rounded.
Yeah, I didn't know that you were the first to start this department. So you made it seem so easy. Little did we know behind the scenes, you were probably throwing things at your laptop or whatever, but you definitely made it look like you knew exactly how to execute. And so great job on that.
Thank you. I'm very good at pretending.
You're very good at leading large-scale efforts too. I think actually the three of us have that in common. But AJ, you led some pretty major efforts around the UI overhaul at Sugar and the big cloud migration from on-prem to the cloud. How did you approach messaging in a way that resonated with both our internal stakeholders and external customers?
This is a meaty topic that I feel passionately about. Because I think customer marketing and marketing into your install base tends to be a really overlooked function of marketing. When people think of marketing, they think of advertisements and campaigns, everything that is built. There's this really well orchestrated infrastructure built around net new acquisition where there's content that ties to it. There's product marketing that ties to it. And how you speak to customers, you can't copy paste, right? Customers don't want to be sold to. They have different needs that you have to build relationships, you have to educate, you have to inform. Like it can't be transactional in nature. So that's kind of a unique challenge because everything that's built, customer marketing has to rebuild and like re-message. So it's an interesting thing. Like I think it just depends on like you need to really get into your customer insights and know your install base, like know what keeps them up at night, know what they care about, and understand how they want to consume content and be educated. Part of that is like talk to them, go and like ask them and involve them
Yeah.
in the process. That was one of my favorite things that I ever did was like I started an event council and I just got like some of our advocates together and was like, this is what we were thinking. And they were just giving us feedback and ideas. And it was so lovely because it was, I think, the best executed events that we've ever done. So yeah, did I answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. You
You
definitely
did.
did.
But I guess the piece missing from the answer is the kind of internal, getting folks internally on board with the messaging as well. And I definitely see that there's a challenge there because, to be honest, we're the only company that I've ever been in that I've actually seen customer marketing be its own thing and have its own ideas and like really have a strategy to execute on. So how did you get people internally on board with that as well?
Great question. Give me like an example. So like you like are we talking like a massive campaign?
Yeah, so if we're going back to like UI overhaul or the cloud migration, you've got this messaging that you want to put out to customers. How do you get folks internally on board without having, 50
So many
people
input.
in the kitchen and
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like you're democratizing the
yeah.
opinion to some extent. I think that is fair. What's interesting is like everyone has really valid perspectives. So like marketing, okay. I don't know if you guys have read Fierce Conversations by Susan
Mhm.
Scott. Okay.
Yep.
Love this book. I think it was this book where they talk about like the beach ball analogy,
Mhm.
Mhm.
where every stripe on the beach ball is like a different perspective, where like product is going to have a really important perspective, marketing is going to have a perspective, customer success, and we're all looking at it from very different vantage points. So like to me, you need to have their input because like if you do not have the input and you're not unifying the signals of everyone else that's interacting with customers, you're not going to have a very solid and baked message that's going to resonate. So I think involving them in the process is really important, but also like getting to a point where it's sort of like, okay, I heard all of your input. This is where I've landed. This is the final opportunity for feedback. And like, I'm not just going to accept your feedback and change it. Like, if I don't agree with it or I was thoughtful about this, I'm going to push back and explain why we got here and like justify why we've landed here. And then like when we're done with this conversation, like it's time to move on because we've got like deadlines. You know what I mean? So I think it's also like managing people.
Yeah. And in your position, did you find yourself in that situation a lot?
Totally.
That was a very leading question, Veronica. You knew the answer.
Yes. Yes.
I think every marketer that's leading a function finds themselves to some extent.
All the time. It's like we come up with this great idea and we present it, but everybody has their hands in the bucket. And so, yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, so AJ, when things are changing, and we saw together a lot of changes in our last company, and I know you were there even longer, so you saw even more changes. How do you get folks outside of just messaging? How do you get folks on board with your ideas if they're resistant or they're overloaded or they're just like, who moved my cheese? I don't know if y'all have read that book, but who moved my cheese? I'm so mad.
Overcome resistance, basically.
Yeah, like how do you
Yeah.
get people on board when they aren't on board?
So again, like I think this goes back to managing people. I think one of the biggest things is like you need to involve them in the process. We're all really ego-driven people, like characters. We all are. I am too. And I think we just want to feel heard, and we want our opinion and our input to be validated.
Hmm.
I think like folding people into the process and allowing them to be heard and not just like surface level hearing, but like actually diving deep into like investigating their perspective and their opinion, I think is really important. Factoring that into what you're doing and then driving change and like communicating throughout that process, I think, is really critical. Communication, I think, is one of the most difficult things in the world. And like communication is speaking and being understood, but also like listening. I think also like if you have one person that's really, really resistant, something I've heard a lot, even from like customers just drive around like how they talk about driving tech adoption in their organizations was like, well, let's go like spend dedicated time with that one person. Like if there's one person that's like really vocal, I think a lot of it is just like, I know that you guys can relate to this, but like they might read something and be like, oh, I hate that. Sort of like, well, okay, like what do you hate? And like typically it's going to be one word that like ruffled their feathers or like created some sort of adverse reaction. And you wouldn't know that unless you were like really spending the time with them. The other piece is just like, you got to do what you got to do to like state expectations. And if they can't get on board, say like, I hear you, but like this is my mission. And at this point, like I don't think we're able to make progress. So we need to move.
Yeah, I think you're really great at that. So AJ, just want to stick on customer marketing a little bit longer here and ask you something that's a little bit of a hard question, maybe. Maybe it's easy, but you've led customer marketing at a high level. What do people get wrong about what that function is really about?
This is not a hard question at all.
Good.
I think that the biggest thing that people get wrong about customer marketing is that they think it's like you're sending a customer newsletter and hosting a customer webinar around a product release. And like, that's it. That is not it. Customer marketing is truly like full stack marketing. Because if you think even like about the way technology is built, like automation, it's built with net new acquisition in mind. Like all of the odds are against customer marketing, which makes you scrappy, makes you self-sufficient. When the marketing team is building their content strategy or building their campaign strategy, it's not always with customers in mind.
Yeah, rarely.
Like truly. So to some extent, like you are responsible for everything. So customer marketing, in my experience at least, has been customer communications. It's been events. It's been field marketing. It's been demand generation. It's been account-based marketing. It's been advocacy, retention. And you're not just plugged into marketing and sales. You're also plugged into customer experience and customer success, which I think gives you a more like thorough understanding of what's actually important to the business and what's happening in the business. So what I love about it is you get to be like the connective tissue of like, hey, marketing CMO, I heard XYZ about customer success, or like, I know that this is an initiative that they're pushing within PS or whatever that's impacting end customers, and like we have an opportunity to plug into that. So I think it's a really like strategic and all-encompassing role. That is just like vastly misunderstood.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand how hard it is to understand that there is white space within your existing customer accounts, and we need to fill that in. And I always like hear businesses come in sort of later in the game. They're like, oh, we need to grow revenue. And it's last ditch effort to like, grab that white space. And they start talking about it like, oh, we need to talk to our current customers. Like, why haven't you been doing this all along? Yeah. This is very important. Like you said, I mean, so many people are just focused, 90+% of their resources on acquisition. And it makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I agree. Especially when you've got like, I don't know, like if you've got really solid offerings, it is a lot easier to sell to an existing base who are already using you.
Yeah, no, that's true. You mentioned events and all this. I mean, your role, you definitely wore several hats, and anything can change at the drop of a hat. So what's a moment where customer insight changed the direction of something bigger? Like, for example, positioning, roadmap, things like that.
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind was one that was more recent, like right before I left my previous company. I feel really passionately about buyer insights, as I'm sure you also do. But like, I think a lot of companies have a very surface level understanding of their buyers. Like, for example, like maybe the firmographic information and like the title. And you say like, that's the ICP and that's it. But like, as you guys know, being product marketing experts, it goes so much deeper. It goes into like their behavior, their motivations, what keeps them up at night, how they consume content, where they're hanging out.
Yeah.
So I think we started to gather some of that information around our more focused ICP as I was exiting the business. And part of what we owned was customer storytelling, right? So like customer content generally, which is in and of itself a brand lever, right? So like that is a massive, crucial thing for building credibility. And for operating in a saturated market, peer credibility is like your number one conversion tool, right? So I got like reflecting, and I was like, are we telling customer stories in the appropriate way? Like, is it effectively doing what we need it to do? And the immediate answer was no. Like, we were producing long form PDF case studies. We were naming the product. It was just like, now I look back and I'm like, that's awful. What were we doing? So I strategized and conceptualized the entire customer content strategy. And it was so fun. And I exited right as it was going live. And I'm really hopeful that it goes well. But
That's
like,
amazing though.
it was so cool. Like we introduced, I mean, it seems obvious, but like thought leadership articles that are purpose built for LinkedIn, that's like not about your company at all. I mean, we were in CRM. So of course, like find a sales leader at a company
How they use CR.
and like, well, not even that, like have them talk about where they project sales leadership to be in 5 years, or have them talk about just like relevant things that other sales leaders care about. Put it in like a short 800 word first person POV LinkedIn article and publish it on their behalf. Then you're talking about something that's resonant and relevant with your target persona without making it about yourself. Like, it's just small things like that. And like, there was the coolest video series that I came up with. And I can't say more, but like,
I hate that when you're like really loving something and then you have to leave. I mean, there's no good time to like switch, but it is such a bummer when you don't get to see the end of something as a marketer, for sure.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about being customer obsessed, truly understanding your ICP and truly understanding sort of their drivers. A lot of that also crosses over into product marketing and is a little bit of a sore subject for many of us product marketers because we don't feel that we have the opportunity to do it as much as we want to talk to customers as much as we want to. And so I'd like to understand like what you're thinking about where product marketing fits within that like understanding and championing of the customer versus like customer marketing as well, and like how the two cross.
So I was like literally just thinking about this today.
Okay. Perfect.
And I would say like I'd even go farther than just product marketing. Like, yes, product marketing is really important, but like I think as a marketer generally, wherever you sit in the organization, I think we have like a due diligence to be close to the voice of the customer. And I think far too often we're not. Think about someone that's sitting behind like WordPress building your website. When's the last time they went to a trade show and spoke to a prospect or sat on a discovery call? Like that's just not, I think, something that's prioritized. And it's always for like realistic, of course, like understandable reasons of like, well, we can only afford to send 3 people to the trade show. So of course it's going to be the 2 salespeople and the event coordinator. You know what I mean? But that's where I think like there has to be an initiative surrounding it that's supported from the top. And I do think it's crucially important. And I think there's a lot of different ways, maybe even like lower barrier to entry ways to get that access and build those relationships and get those insights. But it definitely has to start at the top. Not stop at the top, but start at the top.
I agree. I say like my best understanding of our customers as a product marketer is like when I got to go see one customer on site every quarter at a previous company. And I learned so much from that, but that's just not like a budget even consideration in a lot of cases for a lot of companies. I do think there are ways, though, to your point, where you can like better share understandings. So one way is inviting more people from marketing to in-person QBRs with sales, if you can afford it. The second way is, and this is something I like to do with events. I created a template actually at that same company where I would get feedback from the people at the event, like who was there, who did you talk to, what were they talking about, like all those important things I wanted to know because I couldn't attend. But
Yeah.
I would have them fill it out after every event. And that didn't only go to me as a product marketer. Like I circulated that to the entire marketing team so that everyone understood like what's happening on the ground. And to your point, like some of those people are never going to be able to meet customers in person. So that's, the next best thing.
Yeah. So I commend, because I even remember when we were working together, like you were like, hey, if you're doing a case study interview, like can I tag along? And I think we were able to organize it a handful of times. Mend that like this is something that you push and you feel passionately about, because I don't think it is a very like common thing that people feel is worth fighting for.
Right.
I do think that like hearing it all secondhand of like you got notes or you got like a debrief or you watched a recording like doesn't carry the same weight as being able to sit face to face with a customer and prospect to them. Have you guys gotten the opportunity to do that much? Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Veronica.
I think the last company I was just with, luckily they allowed us, and it was like a quarterly thing. We had to go and to on-site, customer on-site. So they put that as part of the budget. So we would go to, with the product team, whoever we were with, and a salesperson. Yeah. And we were able to go on site. And so it helped me understand how they're using our software. And it told the story. And I was able to articulate that story because I'm a visual learner on top of it. So you want me to tell the story, but I have to understand their pain points, what keeps them up at night, and how we can solve that pain. Yeah, I think if more organizations could include product marketing into their budget to at least and every now and then allow us to do that, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. In addition to doing the same thing at one of my companies, I also was responsible for organizing customer advisory boards at two of my organizations. And that's something that product marketing does do sometimes at smaller orgs. And I found that incredibly valuable to both be in the room and to be able to like ask my own questions, follow up with people. Like they knew me, so then it was easier for me to ask them for, hey, can you just like approve this testimonial, or like, hey, can you help us with XYZ, because we met face to face and now we're friends.
Yeah.
So that was super helpful.
No, that's a really good point. I think like customer advisory boards are planned effectively, I think, on the norm. But yeah, I agree. Product marketing absolutely should be in them.
I think also what was helpful when we were all at Sugar was just being a part of the onboarding process, new customer onboarding. So I would get invited to speak to the new customers, why they selected us, who were we competing against. So that was helpful. And then building that relationship, asking them, can I follow up with you every couple months just to see how things are going? Some were okay with it. Other customers were just like, we're too busy. That's not our thing. But the fact that that initial conversation, that being part of that welcoming committee was helpful.
Yeah, like very vaguely remember that, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was easier to do with our smaller product that we all worked on at one point. We had a smaller go-to-market team, so you got to play more roles, which was, I always enjoyed that. So AJ, what are you excited about doing next? Obviously, you're in a head of marketing capacity now.
Yes. So I think like what excites me about head of marketing is just to have like the larger purview. So I think what's interesting about that is like when you get into mid-market or even like larger enterprises, you tend to have like a lot of functions within the marketing team like going like this. And I think something that I've witnessed is like it's really, really difficult to have a really tight go-to-market strategy and marketing strategy and then functional strategies that all ladder up and where you're like connecting the dots. And so what excites me about head of marketing is being able to like pull that thread through where like everything we do is connected and unified under one strategy. It's also challenging though, because it's a startup, so I'm a team of one. So like I'm also on the hook to execute.
Oh, wow.
So like how much I'll actually be able to do is the question. And then I think like challenging and exciting of like you always, I think everyone will have this when they go and when everyone has this when they go into new jobs, but like I think I know what I'm talking about. I think I'm smart. I think I'm an expert at this. But then you like actually start to get into the sauce and you're like, wait, do I even know what I'm talking about?
All the time. All the time.
Yeah. Well, do you guys remember Scott Addington?
Yes.
I adore him. He posts like his own articles about marketing,
And he's publishing a book, right?
He's an author. He's got like 17 or something. They're all
Oh
like,
my God. I didn't realize that.
We got to ask him to come on here.
Yeah.
he would be so lovely. But I literally just before I came on saw that he had posted something that was like, are B2B marketers just full of shit?
The answer is yes.
I literally was like,
Absolutely.
thinking yes.
Yeah, I got to read that. I'm going
And
to go
if
back.
someone says we're not, they're either lying or they're just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They aren't living in the real world because it's true.
It is. It is. Yeah, B2B marketing is a weird one. Like even more and more, I'm like, dang, how do I get into B2C?
We've talked about that because we have never done B2C, and I would love to like try to go in that direction.
I've done
I
a
don't
little.
feel confident.
It is different because you're just trying to get like share of wallet at that point, and you want like as much money as possible from each individual, and you're constantly trying to like get them to come. Actually, it's a good, interesting place for customer marketing because you're trying to get those repeat customers.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
think I could
true.
be good.
Buyer behavior.
But then again, same formula applies. I think I could be good at it. And then I get into it and I'm like, wait.
You would be great. You would be great.
That's true. For our listeners, there's listeners that are just starting in their customer marketing career or even product marketing. But what's a lesson you learned the hard way in your career that's helped you get to where you are now?
There's one that comes to mind immediately.
Just one?
So many hard lessons. I think the one that, sorry, my dog is the water. She came in from a walk and she's having a little sip. Covering the floor in water too. She's a slopper.
No.
So I think the lesson that I've learned the hard way is you can be right and people still won't listen. Like this is an interesting one because Katie, like I know you've moved around to a handful of different organizations, and Veronica, like I know that you run your own organization, so I think part of the learning process is you go into an organization and you expect to be able to like apply your understanding based on your previous experience. But every organization is at a different stage in their maturity, and you like can't, right? Like you can come in and be like, we need to do this, 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 and this. And it's sort of like the organization's not ready for that.
Yeah.
Be right, but leadership isn't going to hear you until they're ready to.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a difficult one for me.
Yeah, I can feel you on that. Most definitely.
It's definitely a balance where you want to share your experience, you want to share your knowledge, and obviously you should be respected. That's why they hired you. But you do always have to gain trust. Like people are people, and you come in hot. It can be too hot sometimes. I've come in too hot. I was told I came in too hot, and I had to adjust from there. It totally depends on the organization and the culture and everything else, though. So it's always different. Temperature check first, always.
For sure. I think like when you came in and I was transitioning into product marketing as well, when we created like the launch process, people received it and they were all for it. And I think that's great. But going into another organization where I previously was, they were all for it, but then they weren't. You know what I mean? They all said they bought into it, but no one wanted to do anything with it. So
but was it their idea?
I tried to make it their idea. I tried to incorporate and get them involved, but they're like, yeah. But it was, they weren't ready for it. They didn't want change. So.
Yeah, that's important as you're coming into to learn the skill of helping people think things are their idea when they're not. especially leadership. Very
Yes,
important.
master manipulator.
And then like not letting your ego get in the way when it's like, we had this great idea and you're like, yes, I know. I wonder where that came from.
Oh yeah, like a husband, right? Like your husband, like you told him like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and then like later they're like, oh, I have this idea, and you're looking at them like, I told you that. Like
You got to take a few L's sometimes at the beginning, you know,
For
or
sure.
just like,
You know in your heart that you are a change maker.
yes, you do.
Yes.
And you can add it to your resume because, you know, you
True.
did the thing.
That's true.
That's what matters.
This is true. Yes, for sure.
Well, AJ, it's been lovely to have you on the show, and super fun to talk about customer marketing and product marketing. And I look forward to seeing what you do in your new role, and maybe we'll have you come back and talk a little bit more about your startup learnings, and you and I can riff on that as well.
Yeah,
For sure.
That sounds great. That sounds really great. Thank you both for having me. This was really fun.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it was good to see you too.
I know.
Don't be strangers.
We'll have to meet up in New Orleans.
Look, Veronica, I thought you were coming this weekend.
I want to. Don't tempt me.
Well,
and guess what I made for dinner? Chicken with my Nando sauce. So that's waiting for me.
the listeners of the podcast know how much Veronica loves Nando's.
I'm ridiculous. Anyway, guys, the little things.
Yes, thank you both.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.